So Amanda Marcotte is a journalist and she writes for Salon. So on Twitter, she recently stated, Bernie's fundraising isn't really a surprise. His base of support is well-off white guys who have some cash to spare and are really hyped up to box out the up-and-coming candidates. She continues, but I suspect the other, mostly female frontrunners may have a quiet advantage. The same women who put in the time and shoe leather that won the Democrats the 2018 midterms. Women may not have as much money to give, but they've been better at organizing and putting in the work.
So there's multiple suggestions here. In the first tweet, the suggestion is that not just Bernie Sanders, but Bernie Sanders along with his supporters are, I guess, indirectly boxing out women candidates in particular.
Right.
As if they're not any male candidates that are running or put their hat in the race, right? So why is she focused on just the women candidates as if Cory Booker is not in there, as if Castro is not in there? So essentially, if you are donating to Bernie Sanders, according to her, you are boxing out women voters or just women candidates. And Bernie Sanders himself is doing that just by running. And the second tweet suggests that Bernie Sanders and his campaign are not putting in work. So basically, anybody who volunteered for Bernie Sanders, if that's you, anybody watching, anybody you know, they're not putting in any work.
The notion that it's just white guys, and then to qualify it by saying well-off white guys. His average contribution was $27. Last cycle, 2016, his average donation was $27. So you're telling me that well-off white guys are, first of all, they're being real cheap by just spending $27. They don't want to give any more, even though they're well-off. They don't like the fun campaigns, right? And then second of all, these well-off white guys are really interested in the type of campaign that Bernie Sanders is running. The well-off is a qualifier. You wouldn't really suggest that well-off people are interested in the type of platform that Bernie Sanders has.
Okay.
Talking about
the
Fight for 15, Medicare for all. You wouldn't really suspect that that would be his base of people. It's people that would be in the middle class, the poor class. That's really where his support is. That's the base right there, not the well-off people.
I'm pretty sure, this journalist has looked at recent polls that show who has support from which demographic and who has the most support from each demographic. And the polls that I've seen, because we've talked about anecdotal experiences about people we engage with on a day-to-day basis. But the polls say something that matches up with that. And the candidate and the politician that is running for president, known as Bernie Sanders, has the most support from African Americans compared to the rest of the candidates, percentage-wise.
Well, she probably didn't do any research on that. So
Really?
she probably just wants to kind of, push a certain type of narrative.
You think so?
You think so?
You think so?
So as we go on, there's another woman that wanted to share. It wasn't as hard-hitting as this one. This is from actress Amber Tamblyn. So on Twitter, she said, if Bernie Sanders wins the Democratic nomination, I will do what most should have done for Hillary Clinton in the 2016 election. I will put my personal feelings aside and absolutely vote for him. And so should you, period. Now, again, that's not as hard-hitting, but when you really look at it, why would you have, feelings about Bernie Sanders? Why would you have to put your personal... What did Bernie Sanders do to you?
Yeah. Show us where Bernie Sanders hurt you.
Yeah, exactly. On the dog.
Yeah,
please show us where the boo-boo is. What did he do? It's strange, man. And also, this suggests that Bernie did not do what he should have done, from her perspective.
Okay, but what are the facts?
He didn't do what he should have done in 2016 and back Hillary Clinton and try to get her elected. But the facts are that he actually did right after the convention. Actually, before the convention, he took the stage with Hillary Clinton and said, we need to do everything we can do to elect Hillary Clinton.
And
before the convention. Since we're talking about hate, some animosity, criticizing.
Yeah.
We can't do that without David Brock.
Oh, of course. Oh, you mean, the guy that Hillary Clinton hired?
Yes.
And his job was to hire a swath or an army of
an legion.
an army of internet troll demons.
That's correct.
To to go into social media places and spaces like Twitter and Facebook, to make sure people had the correct information on Hillary Clinton.
That's right.
To correct the record officially on Hillary Clinton. And make sure people understood who she really was.
Yes, that's the same guy.
And also kind of throw some shade at Bernie at the same time too.
Yeah. This is the same guy you're talking about.
Same
David
guy?
Brock.
Same guy.
Oh, the same guy that told Bernie to tone it down because he was jabbing Hillary Clinton too sharply and he was gonna damage her when she went into the general against Trump.
I'm gonna do a shameless plug. I'm about to do a shameless plug here, but we did do a video on that.
We did.
And it was called "Turn Down for What."
Yeah, Turn Down.
That was one of our most popular videos.
Exactly. Yeah. Back in 2000.
Back in the day. Back in the day.
You know what I'm saying. But yeah, so we can't end this without talking about David Brock. So David Brock also had something to say on Twitter. He said, "Welcome to the race, Bernie Sanders. I'm looking forward to a primary focused on policy debates and defeating Trump, not on personal attacks that undermine our party to Trump's benefit." I don't know if you noticed because that was kind of quick, but what also was on this tweet was he was sharing an article, and it was actually his article. It was his op-ed he wrote on NBC News, and I didn't read the whole article. I couldn't stomach that much, but I read a little bit of it, and even the title is very interesting. The title of it is "Bernie Sanders fans can't be allowed to poison another Democratic Party with personal attacks." They poisoned the primary. Okay, so he gets into some of the things that I guess he describes as poison. So in it, he lists 6 quotes. And these quotes are, he doesn't say it at the beginning, but at the end, he says that they were given by Trump and Bernie. Not all, but 3 were given by Trump, 3 were given by Bernie. So let me just read the 3 that were given by Bernie, okay? The first one says, "I don't think you are qualified if you get $15 million from Wall Street through your super PAC."
Yo, man. That's savage. That's savage. That's savage and harsh and uncalled for. Savage, harsh, and uncalled for. I don't know how you classify that, but that's below the belt. That's below the belt, man.
You remember that it was Bernie Sanders that started talking about the money in politics in 2015, 2016. Before that presidential race, it was scarcely talked about, money in politics and corruption. I mean, it really wasn't this big narrative, but since Bernie Sanders was in the race, it got talked about. It even got talked about in debates. So I doubt that just concerns Hillary Clinton. That would concern a lot of the Republican candidates too, who all had super PACs. But I guess that's too hard hitting. That's a personal attack. So the second quote, "Do I have a problem with the sitting Secretary of State and a foundation run by her husband collects many, many dollars from foreign governments which are dictatorships? Yeah, I do have a problem with that. Yeah, I do."
Why? Because that points to a conflict of interest.
You would think, yeah.
I think that's a pretty reasonable connection to make. I don't think that's like overly harsh.
That's not unreasonable because a Secretary of State has to deal with other nations, right? So if we have a Secretary of State who is connected to a foundation, an organization, who is taking in money from foreign governments.
That's just a bad look.
That is a horrible look.
That's a bad look.
But that's a personal attack. That's a personal attack. Okay. Third one. Because super predators was a racist term, and everybody knew it was a racist term.
Okay. Hillary Clinton wasn't the only one who used that term. I think that criticism was based on Hillary Clinton kind of including herself in that discussion. Yeah. But I think that should be more about Hillary Clinton explaining herself. Yeah, I think she should be allowed to explain why she used that term and the reasons behind it. It just seems as if David Brock is, I don't know, like, he's trying to present, I guess, these issues Bernie presents as being petty, but they're not.
They're not.
It's but that makes sense though. You present actual serious issues as petty in order to kind of diminish the seriousness of those issues. That's the purpose of that.
And from what I did read, this was a very pro Beto O'Rourke article. I didn't read the whole thing. I saw Beto O'Rourke's name mentioned many times. So I get the feeling that this was preemptively trying to provide cover for Beto O'Rourke, or preemptively trying to lay the path out for Beto O'Rourke. Hey, Bernie Sanders supporters, you're not going to do this a second time, man. You're not going to engage in these personal attacks and ruin this man's chances unfairly.